the little boy accidentally fell onto a bronze cauldron. In the next second, he was transported to an ancient imperial capital 500 years ago. At that moment, the disaster victims were praying to the heavens for salvation. Suddenly, upon seeing the little boy emerge from the bronze cauldron, they thought he was an immortal child. The little boy took pity on these ancient disaster victims, so he gave all the snacks from his backpack to them. Not only did he have fried chicken, but also potato chips. These delicious treats were unlike anything the ancient people had ever tasted. The emperor immediately led his subordinates and the disaster victims in thanking the boy. Suddenly, the emperor noticed that the necklace on the boy's chest looked very familiar. He immediately asked where the necklace had come from. It turned out that, a few years ago, the emperor had once arrived at a dream realm and rescued a woman who had been drugged. Eventually, the two had relations in a dazed state. Afterward, the emperor gifted the national treasure necklace to the woman. Upon seeing the necklace again, the emperor was convinced that it was not merely a dream. The boy, remembering his mother's advice, hid the necklace. He claimed that in his hometown, there were many necklaces like it. Only then did the emperor put his suspicions to rest. Unexpectedly, the child stepped forward and grabbed the emperor's sleeve, insisting that the emperor marry his mother so that he could be his father. The emperor, extremely frightened, stated that he did not dare to desecrate the celestial maiden. However, the boy replied that the emperor was so handsome, his mother would surely love him, and his home had plenty of delicious food to share. Saying this, the boy opened his backpack and took out the snacks inside to share with everyone. After eating, the ministers found it extremely delicious. They immediately asked how much the snacks cost. The boy thought that all these items were bought on discount at the supermarket, so he made a gesture that was intended to say $10. However, the general misunderstood and thought the boy said 10 gold bars. He immediately ordered the soldiers to bring the gold bars. Then, he distributed the food to the disaster victims, just as the little boy put the gold bars into the bronze cauldron. In order to help his mother repay her debts, subordinates then urged the emperor to marry the little boy's mother as his empress, and to make the little boy his heir. But the emperor had always been enamored with the woman from his dream. Suddenly, disaster victims from all over the city rushed over. However, the food was simply insufficient to be shared. The emperor pleaded with the boy to bring more food. He promised to immediately designate him as his heir. The boy was delighted to have a father. Meanwhile, the woman discovered that her son was missing. She immediately asked her daughter about what had just happened. Upon hearing that her son had disappeared from the bronze cauldron, the woman did not believe it, thinking that her daughter was hallucinating due to a fever. In order to prove herself, the daughter put a large amount of food into the bronze cauldron. However, the food did not disappear immediately. When the mother went out to search, the necklace around the daughter's neck brushed against the edge of the bronze cauldron, and in an instant, she was also transported to the ancient imperial palace. The emperor, upon seeing the necklace around the little girl's neck, recalled the woman from his dream. He immediately assumed that both the little girl and the little boy were his children. But just as he attempted to seize the little girl was suddenly transported back to the modern world. She told her mother that the bronze cauldron could travel through time and space. She also said that her younger brother was surrounded by a group of disaster victims. In order to help those disaster victims, the little girl took out the gold she had brought back from ancient times. The woman immediately sold the gold to buy food. Then, she had her daughter take the food back to ancient times. Everyone who witnessed this was overjoyed. When the emperor ordered the food to be distributed among the disaster victims, he discovered that the people still lacked clothing to keep warm. Even so, the people were determined not to surrender to the enemy forces. Seeing how pitiful they were, the little boy offered that his mother could help purchase more clothes for them. So, he returned to the modern world by himself, and recounted everything that had happened in ancient times to his mother. Only then did the woman realize that the man who had been intimate with her back then was none other than the ancient emperor from 500 years ago.